Alright team, if you're watching this video, it's because you're doing this self-guided lesson on grammar. And today, just like last time, we're only going to focus on 3 rules. We don't want to be overwhelming. The first one's going to be antecedents, which is basically just a fancy word for referring back to a noun. And that kind of sounds confusing, but I promise you've seen it before. The main rule is that antecedents have to match. Obviously, plural goes with plural. And singular goes with singular. Make sure you're filling these out on your notes, please. For example, if I'm writing a sentence and I say Ariana and Luna are awesome, when I go to the next sentence and I want to refer back to them, I can't say she is so cool, because I'm talking about Ariana and Luna here. I'm talking about both of them, so that would be plural. And so that means my antecedent, which is she, has to match. So in order for it to match, it can't be she, Ariana, and Luna. It's going to have to be they are so cool. And my antecedent here is going to be, obviously, they. So again, you'll notice that they has to match the antecedent, which is Ariana and Luna. All right, next is verb tense. Of course, verb tense again is going to be match. Verb tenses have to match, which is what we did last time. You guys remember that. The second thing is that present tense goes with present, and past goes with past. In my examples here, it's going to be a lot of when you notice that they're saying today, comma, I blank to the store, yesterday, I blank to the store, tomorrow, I blank to the store. Now, when you have these key phrases here that tell you when these things are happening, your verb tense has to match. So obviously it's going to be today I go to the store, yesterday I went to the store, and tomorrow I will go to the store. Now obviously there are more verb tenses than just those. You could say am going, all those good things, and we'll get into that later. The last is editing, and really the only rule that I want you to have for editing is that you must plug in answer choices. And you guys will see what I mean by that in a second. But there's a lot on your STAR test about editing, which is going to ask you to go back into the passage and recommend changes that the author should make to make their writing stronger. And to do this well, you must plug in the answer choices in the text. So you have to go back and make sure that the revision that you're making, the edit that you're making, fits in with the paragraph. And I'll show you that in just a second. So, for our examples today, go ahead and add, sorry about that, I didn't add these in. For our examples today, we're going to be using this passage here. Now remember, one of the things that I say about editing is that you don't really have to read the entire passage. You only need to read the parts that the questions are asking you for. So save yourself some time and don't read this whole thing unless you have to, which I already know that I don't. Which of the following changes, if any, should be made to sentence 4? Okay, so I'm going to go look at sentence 4 here. But should he do more? Could school be a place where students are a part of something bigger than just academics and activities? Okay, guys, this is an example of a sentence where I'm going to have to look around sentence 4 in order to understand what they're asking me to change here. Because it's so short, I need to make sure it matches up with everything that's going on around it. So I'm going to look at sentences 2, 3, 4, and 5. Students study math, science, history, literature, music, and art. They write essays, take tests, do homework, and sports practices. But should he do more? Could school be a place where students are part of something? Okay, something already sounds off to me there, and so I think it's something to do with he. But should he do no more? Now, I know that when we refer back, when we use he, she, it, they to refer back to nouns, that's called an antecedent. So I need to make sure my antecedents match here. But should he do more? They write essays, take tests. Who's they referring to? Okay, students study math, science, history, literature, music, and art. They write essays, take tests, do homework, and sports practice. But should he do more? Okay, this whole time we're talking about students. But should students do more? So it shouldn't be here. It shouldn't be he here. It should be they. Because the antecedent has to match the noun that it refers back to. So I'm pretty sure that's the edit that I need to make. Change he to they. Yep, that's my first option. So I know that's the answer. And here I just want you to add in underneath, I know A is correct because the antecedent, because they has to match the antecedent students. Two, what change, if any, should be made to sentence 8? Okay, go look. Sentence 8, here we go. Last year, my former school take part in a citizenship program. Okay, this is going back to that rule that we talked about first, where the verb tense has to match those little hint words we get at the beginning. Last year, my former school take part. Okay, it can't be take part, it should be took part. Because if I'm talking about something that happened last year, then obviously I need to use the past tense. So let's see if that's an answer. Change take to took. There it is right there. B. And then here you're going to add, I know the answer is B because last year should use the past tense. Took. 3. What is the most effective revision to make in sentence 3? Okay, so this is where I'm going to have to start plugging in these answer choices into the actual paragraph. So this is what our first rule was all about, or I'm sorry, a third rule, when we must plug in answer choices in the text. So when I'm looking at sentence 3, I have to be plugging these in and making sure to figure out which one works best. So what is the most effective? They write essays, take tests, and do homework while there are sport practices. Okay, I know it's not A because, look, tests should be tests. B. They write essays, take tests, do homework, and attend sports practices. Let's see if that works. They write essays, take tests, do homework, and sports practices, and attend sport practices. Okay, that one makes sense to me because I see the change here is attend sports practices. And here, if I look back, it's saying basically they write essays, take tests, do homework, and sports practices. They don't tell me what they're doing with sport practices. Are they doing sports practices? Are they attending sports practices? Are they skipping sports practices? We need to know what the students are doing with those sports practices. And attend makes sense to me. They write essays, take tests, and do homework. They also go to sports practices. I mean, I think that also kind of works, but this seems repetitive to me. they also go to sports practices and they write essays, we're not using economy of language. That means we're not writing sentences in the most efficient way possible. So I think the best answer here is going to be B, because that's what makes the most sense when I go back and plug it into the essay. Okay, so that's it for your I&M today. You're going to start working on those next questions there. It looks like you've got questions 1 through 6, I think, to complete on your own. Make sure you're following those rules, and we'll check those answers together at the end. After you finish this, you may continue reading the Borden Murders. You should be working the entire time today. Thanks so much. If you have any questions, let me know.